Hey, I'm Justina from Linguistic Adventurer, and this is Curious Introvert Journeys into English and Beyond, the podcast where people like us find our voice and connect through meaningful conversations. Being quiet or shy doesn't mean you can't speak English confidently, connect with others, or travel the world. In each episode, you'll hear inspiring stories from amazing guests from around the globe who've turned their quiet nature into a superpower, mastering English and finding themselves along the way. We're not fans of small talk, we love deep, authentic conversations, and that's exactly what you'll find on this show. I hope these stories help you embrace who you are while improving your English skills. So tune in and join me on this journey of language, culture, and connection, because when we speak, we make it count. I'm here today with Chiara, a language coach for introverts who speaks 5 languages. She's from Italy, loves reading and Latin American music and dancing, and helps people learn languages without stress or pressure. In this episode, we talk about, do you really need to speak from day one as an introvert? Why finding the right community can change everything in your language journey. Why translating in your head before speaking might be holding you back. Or, as Chiara puts it, whenever you translate something, you are kind of committing a crime. And the struggle every introvert knows, when emotions take over and words just disappear. Chiara shares how she freezes when emotions get in the way, and honestly, same. Curious? You don't want to miss this episode. And if you're an introvert and want to feel more at home in English, stay tuned. I'm creating a course for introspective learners. Cześć, Chiara. Ciao, Chiara. Come stai?
Cześć Justyna, jak leci? Um, ja bardzo dobrze. Jestem bardzo
O,
dobrze.
bardzo
Tak,
dobrze. Wow, super.
bardzo dobrze. A ty?
Yeah.
Jak leci?
I you see, I'm always confused with Polish. I don't use it often. Um, ja czuję się dobrze, wszystko okej. I'm always like, well, I'm like, Polish, I don't know. So thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to talk all the things language and introversion because I know you speak 5 languages. You also help introverts learning English. Is there anything else that we don't know about you would like to share? I know you live in Italy.
Yeah, I live in Italy. I live in Rimini. That's probably one of the most beautiful cities for tourists because it's situated in the north center of Italy at the coast, so in the eastern coast. So I live there, and I'm trying to help introverts, mainly Italian, because my contents are mainly Italian,
Mhm.
to learn any language actually. It doesn't really matter which one, because what I would like to help people, it's sharing and finding their own method. So I give tips, I give some guidelines, and I kind of support them in finding their own method to learn a language. So they could
Mhm.
come up with any kind of different language that I don't know, but I know how to guide them through it, through the process.
So can you tell us which languages you speak and you help your students, clients with?
Sure. So I of course I still speak Italian because it's my native language.
And
English,
Polish?
a little Polish, I have to say. Then I have German, Spanish, and French, and I do speak a little Chinese as well. Currently learning Chinese, so I can communicate in the sense if it's needed, I can use it, so to say.
I always say if I can get things done in a language, then that means I use it. I don't have to be fluent. I always give this silly example. If I go to a restaurant, if I can ask in my broken whatever language that I'm learning the basics, maybe I don't even know grammar, but I order food. They give me what I order. I eat. I'm happy. I can communicate.
Agree, 100% agree with
Mhm.
you.
So, from what I understood, you help people learn languages on their own without the stress and the nerves. So, what inspired you to take this approach, and specifically for introverts?
Well,
What
yeah, because
was the
I'm
journey?
an introvert too. So I've been always struggling in having actually relationship with people and connecting with people, even in my native language. So sometimes when I have to kind of bother people It's always difficult to interrupt them because I don't want to sound yeah, to interrupt them just because of respect, or I don't want to just to bother them, right? So I feel
Mhm.
uncomfortable in doing that, and that's why I do feel I'm an introvert, and it's difficult to have proper conversations sometimes because the emotions are always coming before me, right? And then
Yes.
in my head it starts to yeah, I have kind of a chaos, and I cannot really communicate properly as I would love to, right? uh,
Mhm.
for this reason, and I can you can also hear it right now because I do speak it English, but when my emotions are coming out, then I start struggling as well. I
Yes.
do a lot of
Uh-huh.
mistakes. I
Mhm.
forgot words. I forgot the grammar. But I mean, it's completely natural when
Exactly.
emotions in front. It's
Because
very
I just like, brilliant example when when I greeted you in Polish, then you asked me a question in Polish and it's my native language, but I was like, a deer in
yeah,
the head, like, what's happening? I need to switch the code in my head now because, as you said, you speak 5 languages, and when we use it constantly, we have to. It's easier for us polyglots, but then we have to make that switch. We can mix sometimes
yeah.
if we communicate in language. I have a question. When was the first time that you realized that you are an introvert, and how did that shape your learning and also teaching
Well,
journey?
yeah, actually, first time I realized it, I don't remember because probably I was very young. I've always known that I'm an introvert because of this relate difficulty in relationships. But if I have to say, when something
Like,
clicked,
clicked in your head, uh-huh.
it was probably last year, middle of last year, when I actually decided to quit my previous job. That was
Mhm.
anything related to languages,
Can I
and I
ask you what did you do before?
well, I was in a multinational company, an American company. I did
Mhm.
customer service stuff and some technical system issues like
Mhm.
solving and all that stuff. Of course, it was mainly English, but
Mhm.
it was not related to languages. So I decided,
Interesting.
yeah, to quit that and to start my own business related to languages. I wanted to help other people to come out and to start learning a language, and at that point I realized that yeah, I'm an introvert, and at the same time I can teach others, because if I was able to learn these 5 languages being an introvert, I do can share something with others. I mean, I might not be that guru that we see outside, those polyglots that I always follow them because they give a lot of.
Mhm.
I've been following them for a long time. So now I have as well a bunch of tips that I could share. I tested on myself. And what I could add here is just being an introvert as
Yes,
a
but
sub.
it's like you walk those shoes, so you know how it is. It's not like, as you say, of course we have some gurus, but who will know the best? People who went through the experiences, situation that are similar to others, and you say, okay, now I really understand what you're going through, right?
Yeah.
Not just like I read somewhere that this is your problem, this is your struggle, but no, I've been through the same. Okay. But it's interesting. For me as a kid, I was very shy. So I kind of know like, oh, I could see that I'm a bit different from other children. But as similar to you, what you say, for me, when I realized that I'm the introvert, it was probably maybe 7 years ago, something like that. I read and I was like, oh, introvert, what's this? But then I read the kind of book. I was like, ah, that just sounds like me. I feel so seen.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the struggles of introverts and our own ones as we are in learning languages. So we know that many introverts struggles with speaking anxiety, like in our own native languages, but also the ones we are learning. So how do you personally deal with those struggles as an introvert and being very nervous to speak, and then
Yeah.
you communicate in your 5 languages? How
Well, yeah.
how was that?
First of all, what I do mainly, actually, my main goal whenever I have to, when I learn a language is mainly to be able to read stuff. So actually, my main goal is not really to communicate with people. even though, of course, a language is made to communicate.
Yes.
But my main goal whenever I speak a language is because I want to read stuff without filters, in the sense that I don't want just to read things coming from Italy has been filtered by Italian journalists or Italian
Mhm.
sort of television. I also want to see and read something with my own eyes, with my own ears, from other countries as well. And if I know the language, I can do that, and then I can kind of compare the things and create my own opinion, right? Have my own opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do learn languages because of this reading.
So when you say that, what comes to my mind, kind of the translation and the culture that, when we have two languages and if we learn kind of on a surface, and as a translator, it's sometimes difficult. We can translate the typical word for word, but very often the words will have the culture, the history behind it, the customs. I don't know, something that you can't touch it. It's like
Yeah.
between the lines, right? I don't know if you've
Yeah,
got something
actually,
like
I have
this.
master degree in translation, so I
Oh
perfectly
wow.
understand. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it's how there was a quote that I'm not remembering, unfortunately. That was related, of course, to translation. That whenever you translate something, you are kind of committing how to say it, not a crime, of course, but you're
Mhm.
not telling the truth, right? You are kind of not lying, but kind of similar situation because you're not saying the same, right? So,
Yes. Mhm.
so
Yeah. So I want to ask you, have you ever felt pressure to learn languages in a way that didn't suit your personality? And how did you handle that?
hmm, that's is interesting. Hmm, Probably, I think it's the German language.
Uh-huh. Yes.
German for me has always been difficult and it has always been a struggle. I started learning it in middle school and then I took it back in high school. But yeah, by that time I was really um, feeling this anxiety, and it was mainly related to the final exam in high school when
Uh-huh.
we were supposed to speak about Kafka in literature,
Oh
but
wow. So a serious subject.
yeah, we just had 3 years of German in high school, and I was like, "How am how can I speak about Kafka and write an essays about Kafka in German after 3 years of high school where you just learn grammar?" That was a nightmare, and of course, it didn't, yeah, went very, very good, right? That's probably the time when I really struggled a lot with this
Uh-huh.
German, and at university as well. When during my interpretation sessions, I was really fearing because I couldn't communicate in German. So that was really the main struggle.
And do you think apart from learning grammar and like kind of on one side you've been taught grammar and all the things just for 3 years and then you have to go out and start speaking about Kafka and literature and serious topics. But do you think that approach at school and university was that helping you as an introvert in learning or quite opposite? How was
Well,
it?
I think that the approach that is used at school, it's unproductive in all the senses, not just for introverts but also for extroverts, because they focus too much on grammar, they focus too much on mistakes because they have to give you some grades, definitely. So they need to kind of have some they need to mark your mistakes, they need to find them and give some grades, but that way is too focused on grammar, less focused on input, less focused on try to come out a little bit with your speaking. And
Yes, because I feel like I know that grammar is important and we can't separate it, but if we start learning any language, it's like a baby. You have to learn, from zero and you build it up. So I always see like, okay, you learn grammar even as an adult, but do you really understand it? Does it help you when you start speaking like your first interactions? You're probably thinking, did I use the correct tense or this or that, the article?
yeah,
And children, when they speak, do they worry about grammar? No, they just say something incorrectly. but it gets the job done. It gets the message across. That's it.
Exactly.
Mm?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you maybe share your opinion? What are some myths about learning languages that make us introverts like overthink or feel stuck? Do you
Well,
think?
yeah, false myths. Definitely, a lot of people are saying you have to speak from day one.
Hmm.
So you are still learning the greetings, for example.
Yes. Mhm.
Well, maybe not day one, and maybe even if you are introvert, it might take you even 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, even a year sometimes. It depends on the person that you are, on the experiences you lived. Where are you in that specific moment, in that specific situation? So probably, yeah, the first false myth that I can think of is just, yeah, speak from day one. Well, yeah, it depends on the people, right? It depends on yourself. So
Yes,
that's the
each one of us has different experience. What do you think? How being an introvert helped you actually learn language, or in your case, languages, because you speak multiply, better? And do you think we have some superpowers as introverts?
Yeah,
And
well, yeah, I think that, and I think something that has been said already in the previous podcast, probably
mhm,
the previous episodes, that we are good observers, right? Usually, as I said, I focus a lot on reading because I love reading. So I might spend months just reading so that I can really have a focus on the structures of the sentences, so that the more I read them, the more they get into my head. And at the same time, I do kind of, I add at the reading, I also add listening to podcasts, listening to music. That also helps on the other side, on the so-called inputs, because
yes,
the more you listen to something, the more you grasp the language, and the more you start acquiring it in your head without even noticing it. And at a certain point, what you realize is that you're saying something that you didn't ever see in any book, or you didn't study at all, but it kind of, yeah, came out without efforts, right? And
yes,
it's that
because
because you read it or listened to it.
yes, in a way, you don't feel like you were speaking, maybe. And some people, there's this myth that, oh, if I'm not speaking or I'm not doing anything, I just read the book, I just listened to music, or maybe I played, I don't know, a game or something in the language I'm learning, that it doesn't count. But I always think of it like a sponge. We can absorb it over time. And then, as you said, it's like, oh, boom, surprise. I didn't know I've learned that. Anything else? Or that's the more one important thing that comes to you, like that reading and doing, spending time on your own, learning on your own? Or would
Yeah,
you think any other?
maybe something else that could help,
Hmm.
and that helped me as well, is that I was lucky enough to find a community here in Rimini
Hmm.
where I'm now an organizer with them. So I do perfectly understand the situation because I do organize these events, and these are called the Rimini Language Exchange, where
Uh-huh.
we welcome all the foreigners that are mainly coming for to study. So they are learning Italian. So they are in the same situation as we are as Italians, learning their languages or just learning another language. So
Brilliant.
we are in a kind of safe zone where everybody is learning a different language, and we do share some English, and we try to communicate together. We try to share knowledge, to share cultures, tips, and traditions. So that is also something that I think it's really helping when you're an introvert, because you are in a safe environment there. Because
Yes.
everybody, even if they maybe are not that introvert as you, but still they are in the same situation as you because they are still learning a language. So
Yes, that's amazing. And as you said, and you know what I think? I think when you're learning a language, if you're an introvert or extrovert, it's very stressful when you start speaking the new language. I think even as an extrovert, it is still
yeah,
stressful, and definitely at the beginning. That's what I think. Chiara, since you're also a polyglot, you speak languages. So I'm very curious to know, do you feel like you have different personality in each language that you speak or use? Or that's how, if so, how does it change?
Well, it's difficult. In a few of them, probably yes. In others, maybe not yet. And this doesn't really mean that I speak these languages better than the others. So I think that when I speak English, I feel comfortable because I have always been using this as a job tool. Actually, it's a tool for me.
Yes.
So I've been using it in work related things, or when I have to start do some researches or look at content on internet, I do it in English. Basically, that is kind of an automatism. And of course, Italian, it's my language, so I have a personality there.
Yeah.
Not a change in personality, but more like a different tool that I use when I need it. And
Okay.
yeah, I see it more as a tool. When I have probably the change of personality comes with Spanish, that I can feel it a bit more. I
Okay.
cannot say how, but I kind of feel more kind of more extrovert, so to say.
Ah, okay.
Because I don't know, maybe it's I love Latin music, Latin American music. I love dancing, so probably the language. So listening to a lot of music that
Mm-hmm.
could help in giving and together with the passion for dancing, going together, maybe they kind of create this different personality.
Ah, interesting. Uh-huh.
For the other languages, I think I don't really have still a personality. I don't know. Maybe I still
It's
feel them
developing.
as yeah, me. Could
Or you
be.
doing when you say that kind of thing, it's like you in Italian, Spanish, whatever, German, and then you say that languages that you're learning. I kind of imagine you as this baby learning to crawl and you're still developing your personality. You're learning how you're going to be in a sense. You gave the example of Spanish, so maybe you can think of this or any other language that do you think that learning English and those languages, Spanish, impacted your confidence as an introvert? Because we can very often overthink, we are perfectionists. I'm noticing those patterns. So I don't know, do you feel like maybe in other languages you are, oh, I don't doubt myself that much. This is okay. How do you feel?
Well, it's a tricky one. How to say it? Okay. My mind went blank for a second.
No worries.
Okay. Um, so yeah, how they impacted my confidence. Probably English impacted my confidence in the sense that I really feel comfortable using it. So I feel
Mhm.
confident speaking this language. Um, the
So
one,
you think that you're
yeah.
more confident in English than you are in Italian, your native language?
Well, it depends on the situation
Okay.
because, as I said, being using English as a tool for related to work. When I work, I do feel more comfortable and more confident using English than Italian. So
Mhm.
maybe also it come from the fact that I spending that 6 years in that company. So
Yes, the work environment.
but what changed the fact, for example, that I can now speak German, that has been a real struggle for me for a long time. Still, it is, but I can now have lessons, Italian lessons to German students, so I can feel confident there speaking German. That one, and probably the fact that I'm starting now speaking Chinese, those two languages are really giving me more confidence.
Like a
Also,
boost of, confidence, right?
yeah, kind of
Like
most
it's not an easy language, right? And you can
yeah,
do it.
no, yeah, they are not, and of course they are different because they are not coming from the same language family as the others. So of course this has an impact because they add more difficult. Well, they add the difficulty to the process, right? So
Definitely. Wow.
that's
Okay. So, Chiara, I have one question, which is actually not my question. It was from a previous guest. So, her question was, when was the last time you laughed and why?
Hmm. Well, that's that's also kind of. I tend to laugh a lot, so that's pretty difficult to find a specific moment. But if I have to think about one specifically, it's about it could be probably few days ago when okay, we have a cat. Me and my husband have a cat. That's the Maine Coon one, the Maine Coon, so the big one, uh,
Hmm.
that ginger one.
Ah.
uh, and actually, he's always trying and seeking for different places to have his nap. And we have a little cupboard that it's half open and half closed down. And basically, where in the half open one, we put I don't know, some serviettes, some napkins, some
Yes.
tea, and everything. So he kind of saw this napkins box there, and he thought maybe that could be a nice place where to have a nap. So now he just sit there. And we laughed a lot because he always find different and awkward places to have naps, and that was probably one of the most awkward we saw so far. So
Yes. Can you open the cupboards? Because my grandma, she used to have a cat, and I remember one story as a kid. I think she was cleaning the chicken, like the meat, and then she was going outside, so she put it in this cupboard like for 5 minutes until she comes back. Then she comes and she kind of closed the door so he wouldn't open it. Then she comes back and the chicken is pulled out from the cupboard and like half
well,
eaten.
oh,
because, because the cat apparently can open the cupboards.
whoa, whoa.
So
No, actually, yeah, some cupboards that are at the bottom. He can with a pole. He can open them, but we don't have food there, so we are safe.
okay, that's good. Okay. Well, Chiara, so what are you working on at the moment? What's the big project?
Well, yeah, the big project is trying to launch this my Instagram account. So
Mm-hmm.
it's called the Intro Lingua, coming from
Mm-hmm.
introverso, which in Italian is actually introvert, and the
Mm-hmm.
lingua, that's the language. So
Uh-huh.
intro.
Introverso. I like the name of it, like intro. How would you say it in Italian? I keep on thinking, the Italian, like, singing.
Yeah, the introvert, it's in Italian introverso.
Introverso, okay. Because I keep on,
Right.
like sometimes when I hear Italian, it's like la 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 la, like you're singing.
Yeah, that's probably one of the characteristics I would say of all the Romance languages that they have this musicality, right? It's not
Mhm.
just Italian, but also Spanish and French. They share this
Yes.
musicality.
Yes, I learned Spanish for just 1 year at university. It was just like 1 hour a week. I wish I was more serious about it at the time. But I also had Latin, so I found it was much easier because I started. You mentioned that you also speak French, so I had
Yeah.
Latin at university when I was studying English and Russian. So all the cases, the ending, it's the same in Spanish, French. So I tried to learn French on my own, and grammar I was like, wow, that's easy. Same thing, but the pronunciation, I give up.
Completely different. Yeah. And actually they change it during the process, they change it how it is written. So like they did in English, right?
Yes.
So
It's a tricky one. So, Chiara, thank you so much for joining me and sharing the introverso Italian, your wisdom and experience with languages. So, thank you for your time, and it was great to connect.
thank you
Oh,
so much for this
thank
invitation.
Can you relate to my guest story? Let me know in the comments. If you liked this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends or anyone who might find it helpful on their own journey to embrace their quiet personality. I'm here to help you with English learning, whether you want to connect with others or turn your dreams into reality. If you'd like to leave a review, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. It will help me reach more people like us. And don't forget to check out my Instagram at linguistic.adventurer for more tips on learning English or to ask about my one-to-one classes or group courses. Thanks for listening, and until next time.